Awesome.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, creatives of all ages. We are here. We've made it to day 3 at NAB 2022. I am Matthias, aka Major VFX, on all of the social platforms. For those of you who don't know, we stream this show and all of our shows live every month at the 3D Motion Show. So check out 3dmotionshow.com for that and the lineup of all of today's and tomorrow's presenters. So to my left is an icon, a legend in the industry, a super strong supporter of the community, someone who's done more for the integration of cinema and Unreal and so many other things. My good friend, the one, the only, the legendary Jonathan Winbush.
All right. What up, what up? Thank you guys, I appreciate it. How's everybody's NAB so far? Awesome. Well, for those that don't know me, my name is Jonathan Winbush. I'm a motion graphics artist based out of Southern California. I'm going to start up this presentation. And while I let this montage go, I'm just going to talk through it a little bit. So as I was saying before, I'm a motion graphics artist. I've been doing motion graphics professionally since around 2006. Since then, I've done work with Marvel, DC, Hasbro, Discovery Networks, the Comic-Con networks, etc. And so throughout like my 15-year tenure of working as a professional motion graphics artist, I used a whole plethora of different type of applications, right? Like as you're looking through my montage, you probably can't say like, hey, you built this with Softimage XSI, you built this with Cinema, you built this with, different render engines, etc. Because as an artist, I'm using the best tools for the job, right? And so as an artist, I pride myself on taking whatever tools will get me to the end result the fastest. Because at the end of the day, it's all about making the client happy, right? Like I never had a client say like, hey, this looks good. What did you build this in? Because they don't care. They just want, they just want to hit their deadlines on time. And so I'm going to move on to my next slide. I'm just going to do a couple of slides for you guys before I dive into the live presentation. But a lot of you guys are familiar with this workflow, right? Like you use the Adobe suite, you're bringing in like vector files into Cinema 4D, you're doing your texturing with Photoshop and things of that nature. And then from there, you're going off into your offline render, whether you use, in my case, I've used Octane and Redshift respectively, and then take your multi-passes out to After Effects, and then from there, take it to whatever the platform that's your end result, whether that's the television screen or the theater. And so I'm going to go through some of these slides here because a lot of you guys know me through my YouTube channel. And so for the past couple of years, I kind of prided myself on giving you guys tips and tricks on the different applications that I use as a professional motion graphics artist, bringing those tips to you guys absolutely free. And one of the biggest requests I get a lot from the audience is, how do I bring my Cinema 4D files into Unreal Engine so that I can work with both of them, whether it's for using the real-time aspects, whether it's for doing interactive stuff, even some virtual reality stuff, etc. And so even if you go to like my Unreal playlist, I have like over 100 videos specifically for Cinema 4D, the Unreal Engine integration. I kind of fell into this because of you guys keep asking me questions, right? It's not something that I particularly went into. I just love experimenting with different things. But I'm going to play a quick montage of some of the select work that I'm allowed to show. I can't show everything because of NDAs, but all these different works were done with the pipeline of Cinema 4D to Unreal Engine and to After Effects.
Hello, everybody. My name's Joel Deadmau5. I've been following Jonathan Winbush for quite some time, and stay tuned here as he dives deep, really deep, into Cinema 4D and Unreal. Let's go! Epic John Winbush.
Big shout out to Dead Mouse for that. So as you can see now, my pipeline for everything that you saw inside that montage here, like I've done work with Nickelodeon, there's some stuff with History Channel, School of Motion, Epic Games, Maxon, etc. And for all those projects, this was my pipeline. Like I built out the stuff in Illustrator, bring it over to Cinema, do some texturing with Photoshop and the Quixel Mixer stuff with Megascans, bring that into Unreal Engine, export my multipass out to After Effects, and from there, it's all about making the money at the end because, you know, time is money. So the more time you have to be creative and get to that end project, that's exactly what it's all about right there. And so I'm going to dive into a live demo for you guys. I'm going to show you guys how we could take our project from Cinema 4D, the latest version, 26, because I'm crazy like that. It just came out a couple of days ago, but I'm going to show you how we could go from 26 into the brand new Unreal Engine 5. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks because throughout my career here using Unreal Engine and Cinema 4D, let me actually get out of my slides here. And I'm going to bring up here, just a shameless plug. So I did do a course with the Mocraft guys teaching everybody Unreal Engine and Cinema 4D workflows. And I still get a lot of questions with this course. I still get a lot of questions on YouTube. So I picked like the top 3 questions from this, and I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to break it down really simple. And hopefully from here, you guys will explore some more using these 2 softwares together. And so I'm going to start with Cinema 4D here. So I have Cinema 4D 26 opened right now. I have a simple scene built out. This is actually a scene from the Pixel Lab, so big shout out to Jordan. He sent this scene over here for me to demonstrate for you guys, but actually let me come over here like so, just because it's a little bit easier to see all the materials and everything down here in the bottom. And so you can see I have really basic materials here. Like if I double click on this, you can see that we just have the color node and then we have a reflectance in here. And the reason I'm doing it like this is because I do a lot of my texturing inside of Unreal Engine. And so I like doing like really basic materials inside of Cinema 4D. I basically use like a simple color just to represent what I want to change later on. And I found like for me at least, that was the best workflow, bringing my stuff from Cinema into Unreal Engine. And so I'm going to show you guys this other material right here, in which this is a Luminous Material, which is really cool because I only have Luminance checked on here, but once we bring this inside of Unreal Engine, it's going to build out a master material automatically that will allow us to control everything inside of Unreal Engine. We'll get real lens flares, we'll get real lumen effects, and we'll be able to light our scene strictly with this material right here. And so I want to go through some more tips here because these are some of the things that really trip people up when they're trying to experiment with Cinema 4D to Unreal Engine. And so the first thing I wanted to go over is we have a Mocraft Cloner built out our scene in here, right? Because that's something that Cinema 4D really strives on. It's something I use a lot is the cloner object. And so if I click on this, and then I look down here in the lower right-hand corner, you can see we have our instance modes, right? So we have instance, we have render instance, and we have multi-instance. Now, as a motion graphics artist, most of us are kind of conditioned to either use the render instance or the multi-instance because that will give us, you know, a faster viewport. It's going to render out faster on the back end. But Unreal Engine, like these are 2 separate companies. And so what Unreal and Epic are doing, they're converting your scene over on the fly once you bring it over. And the one thing it needs is all the geometry. Like it needs to know what it's bringing over. And if you're doing like a render instance, it's not going to know that there's an actual object there. So you're only going to have like the original object there. So that's a big thing right there. If you're using a cloner, you definitely want to have it in instance mode. And then I'm going to scroll this down in my top right-hand corner. I actually have an object instance here as well. And so this is another thing that really trips people up because, you know, we use this a lot, again, for like speed and efficiency inside of Cinema 4D. But inside of Unreal Engine, it's not going to recognize this. And so in order to get around this, even if you have it in instance mode, I notice a lot it doesn't transfer over. So it's as easy as just hitting the C key and making it editable. So once you make it editable, it's going to know the geometry that it needs to bring over. And so I know that's something that trips up a lot of people as well. So I'm going to do that for some of this other stuff I have in here as well. Just hold down Control, hit C, make sure everything is editable, because we want to make it as less complicated for Unreal Engine to see as possible. Okay, so it looks like we have our scene built out pretty good there. But as you can see inside of our scene here, our corridor, I don't have a floor, so I'm just going to build that on the fly. So another thing that I like to do, especially whenever I'm referencing stuff for scale, I like bringing in the basic Cinema 4D character. And if I have them coordinated in the center here, so if I hit 0 on my keyboard, it's just going to fly me directly to the object there. So that's shortcut key 0, or not 0, but O on the keyboard. And I believe he's around 180 centimeters, right? Which I think, my math is probably off, but that's what, like 5'11", 6 foot, somewhere around there. Yeah. And so that's going to be like your average height for a person, right? So the reason I like doing this is just so I can kind of have a reference of scale, how a human's going to be inside the scene, because that's another thing that trips people up. Like, they start just building stuff, but when they bring it over, it's going to be like extremely large or extremely small. So I always like going with like the human scale, just to kind of get a really good sense of reference of how everything should be. And so from here, we're just going to build out the floor real quick with a couple of cloners. So I'm going to come over to my window, and I'm going to come over to the new asset browser here. And I'm going to drag this out because I want to show you guys another tip that trips up some people here. So you didn't know that, like, if you bought packs from maybe like Grayscale Gorilla or the Pixel Labs, a lot of times you get a lib file, in which in the past all you had to do was import your lib file and everything's there. But with the new asset browser, we can actually bring those lib files over, and it's going to convert it as a legacy file. So let me go over here to my Windows browser, and let me see, I have my kit bash stuff here. I already have it imported, but I'm just going to show you guys how to do it. So we have our lib file here. This is a pack, again, that I got from the Pixel Lab. So it's as easy as just clicking and dragging it over here. And then you're going to come up with this right here. It's going to ask you what folder you want to put it into, but you just hit OK, and it's going to automatically convert everything for you so that you can still have some of the assets that you got from the past from other places. And it's going to put it into this converted folder. So as you can see here, now I have all my assets that I could do kit bashing with, right? So I'm just going to come over here down the floor, and I'm just going to pick a simple floor panel, maybe like this one right here. Just click and drag it into my scene. Come over to my coordinates. I'm just going to hit 0, tab 0. I love just zeroing everything out. It just gives me a good point of reference there. And then from here, I'm going to come back up to the objects panel. Just going to make a simple cloner like so. Drag this under here. Let me see, get it like that. So now we have our floor panel. And you can see why I like having a person inside the scene, because you can see it came in extremely small around his feet. And so I'm just going to use my person as a scale reference again, just for building out this floor here. So let me pull this up. Maybe let's make this, let's try a 6x6 first. Something like that looks a little bit, I don't want to spend too much time on it. So I think I'm just going to go with that. So let me come back over here to objects. And I'm just going to extend this out exponentially, maybe like 35. And I'm just going to start extending these out a little bit like so. And we could probably scale it on the sides as well. So let me bring this up all the way to the edge. So it looks like it's about 7 on the length. And there we go. So we have a floor there and everything. And I think I'm going to keep it like that because I'm going to bring it into Unreal, and then I'm going to show you guys how we could do some more stuff going back and forth between Cinema 4D and Unreal Engine. So before I do that, I'm actually going to delete my character. Actually, no, let me keep my character because let's bring in the camera just so we could do a simple animation real quick. So I'm going to bring in my camera. I'm going to zero out the coordinates for this as well. So we got 0, 0, 0. Zero everything there. And then I'm going to bring it up to about the height of the person. So if I scroll in here, this is going to give us a good point of view. And that's another reason why it's good to have that person in there, just so you could get a good POV reference there. Now I'm going to delete my figure there. And then I'm just going to do a simple animation with my camera. So maybe let's make this like 120 frames, like so. So I'm just going to keyframe it on the Z here. Yeah, we're going to just push it forward. So I'm going to start back at 0, start a keyframe, go all the way back into the end. Then I'm going to push this forward like so. Then I'm just going to keyframe it again. And then I'm going to come into my animation panel here, and hit H on my keyboard. Excuse me. And then I'm just going to make it linear, just so we don't have any ramp up or anything at the beginning and end there. So if I come through and play it, you can see we just have like a simple camera move, nothing going too crazy here. And we're just going to bring this all into Unreal Engine now. And so before we do that, I'm actually going to hit Control-D on my keyboard. And actually, let me go back to standard view first because it's easier to see. So I'm going to hit Control-D. Then I'm just going to drag this up and over so it's a little bit easier for everybody to see. And I want to make sure that my frame rates match inside my projects panel here, and I want to make sure they match inside my render settings here. And so I want to make sure, I'm just going to do it at 30 frames per second here. I usually work in 60, but I know a lot of you guys out there work in 30 frames, so I'm going to use that for this example. So they're both matching at 30, which is very important. Even if you're not bringing it over to Unreal, you still want to make sure that these match whenever you're rendering, especially if you're bringing stuff out for like After Effects and things of that nature. I'm going to bring this scene up to, let's just do HD. So I'm going to come down here, HD TV, make sure this is 30 and it's matching. And then I want to come over here to where it says save. Actually, no, I want to come up to, okay, yes, I want to come up to output. And for frame range, I just want to do all frames. And so now that I have all that stuff selected, I want to make sure I come back over here to my projects panel. So again, you hit Control D. If that's not up, that's a shortcut for that. And then I'm going to come over to Cineware. And so all the Cineware stuff is basically how we're going to tell Unreal Engine what to bring over. So you can see that we have these little knobs here inside of the attributes. We can save out polygon cache, which we absolutely want to do. We want to save the animation cache. And then we could save material cache. Actually, before we do that, I'm not going to bring any materials over because I'm going to do that inside of Unreal Engine. So I'm just going to actually take this generic material that I have here. I'm going to hold the Alt key, and I'm just going to replace the one that came over from our kit bash session there, like that. And then that's just going to replace all the materials that were associated with that. So I'm going to hit Control D again on my keyboard. And I'm not going to hit Save Materials because I don't have any materials to bring over. But like say that you did make your materials inside of Cinema 4D, like it's limited in what it could bring over to Unreal. So like you could bring over like your albedo / diffuse. You could bring over normal channels, maps. You can't bring over displacements. You could bring over lumen. But they actually have documentation on the Unreal side showing you everything that you could bring over. But just to keep it simple, just going to use these simple materials. So once we're happy with everything that we have here, I'm actually just going to save out the Cinema 4D project now. And in the past, if you watch any of my tutorials on YouTube, you know that we had the save project for Cineware, but the guys over at Maxon have been working with the people at Epic. They came up with a good solution to allow you to now just use your native Cinema 4D project files to bring over to Unreal. So no longer do we have to save out special files or anything. We could just use a native Cinema 4D project. So I'm just going to name this one NAB. What up? Like so. And then I'm just going to save it here to my desktop. And while that's getting saved, I'm actually going to come over to Unreal Engine. So I have this already opened up because I wanted to save time and everything here. But once you open up Unreal, this is going to be the Unreal project browser that you see. And we have a whole plethora of different templates. So no matter what you want to do, you have a template that's going to get you started, which makes it really easy to dive into. So say you want to make like an interactive experience. You have a template for like a first person mode. So like Call of Duty style. You could do third person, like Assassin's Creed, something of that nature. Top down, like League of Legends. You have vehicle templates. Like you have everything that you need to get you started in those regards. But it was really cool. They added this maybe like a year and a half ago. They added a template for film and television now. So we actually have a template to get us started if we're working in broadcast, if we're working in theatrical. And so what I like to do is click film, video, and live events. And then I'm going to start with a blank slate. And then down here in the right-hand corner, I'm going to turn ray tracing on because I do have an NVIDIA card inside of my system here that would allow me to use ray tracing. But what it's going to do, it's going to use ray tracing where it needs to use ray tracing. And then it's also going to allow you to use the new lumen settings as well for your lighting with our material and everything there. And so I'm just going to save this to my project, excuse me, to my desktop. Again, I'm just going to name this NAB. What up for my project file here? And click create and let this go. And then you can see that's the brand new Unreal Engine 5 that we're going to be working in here. And so while that's going, I'm going to get another, well, let me see how fast this is going to open up. Because I'm going to show you guys how we could bring character animation into Unreal Engine as well, because that's another big thing. But it looks like it opened up pretty fast. So I'm going to get this set up before I get into that. So I'm going to click update on my scene right here. That always pops up for some reason. I don't even know what that does, but I just click update because I figure it's better to than not to. But in order to be able to bring our Cinema 4D project file into Unreal, we have to activate the DataSmith plugin. So you're going to come up to the edit window, come down here to plugins, and make sure you have all plugins selected here at the top. And it's as simple as just searching for C4d. Now this is all built inside of Unreal Engine now because the guys have been working with each other. You can see this is version 1. It's no longer inside of beta. And so to activate this, we're just going to click the little check mark button here. And a tip with Unreal Engine, if you know that you have specific plugins that you need to activate, you probably want to do that all at the top because it's going to make you restart it just to activate it. And so usually, like if I know I'm diving into a project and I'm going to use like a certain set of plugins that aren't activated, I make sure I activate everything here first and then just hit restart just to make sure you do everything there at the top. And usually this one doesn't take too long. So I'm going to let this one load up real quick. Let's see. All right, and there you go. So now we have Cinema 4D activated. I'm going to type in C4D again. And now you can see we have it activated. And so from here, to be able to bring that C4D file in, we're going to click on this little box that has a plus symbol here. And if you scroll down, you can see we have Datasmith here. And this is how we're going to bring our Cinema 4D file into Unreal Engine. So I'm going to click on File Import here. Then I'm just going to look for my desktop. It was this one right here, NAB. I'm going to click Open. It's going to bring up this other panel here. You're just going to click Content because this is going to be brought into your content browser, which is down here at the bottom as well. So I'm just going to click OK. Then it's going to open up this other panel. And this is going to ask us what we want to bring over from the C4D file into Unreal Engine. So you can see right here, our file right here is .c4d. And it's asking us, do we want to bring over the geometry, materials and textures, lights, camera, animation. I'm just going to leave everything checkmarked because I want to bring everything over from my project here. So I'm just going to click import. And hopefully this doesn't take too long. I only did 120 frames here. So it should go pretty quick. But yeah, there you go. So a caveat with that is, like the longer your session, the longer it's going to take to import, right? Because it's converting all the frames over on the fly using the Cineware there. And let me actually show you guys what I'm talking about real quick. So I'm going to come down here into my content browser, open up the timeline. And I know I went a little bit fast. So it's down here under animations. You'll see this clipboard here. And this is called the sequencer inside of Unreal Engine, which is the timeline to us. So if you double click that, it's going to bring up your sequence window right here. And you can see I only had a simple camera animation brought over. But if I look at the transform, you can see it actually baked out all the frames. And so that's why it's good to take in respect on how long your project's going to be, because it has to bake all these frames once it brings it into Unreal Engine. So like I've done, you know, like 2,000 frame sessions, and it maybe took like 3 to 5 minutes to import. And I know a lot of people hit me up saying like, hey, it looks like it's hanging. Why isn't it going through? I'm like, just leave it alone, because it has to, especially if you have like a lot of complex animation, it has to calculate those keyframes to make sure that everything comes in on par. So that's something to remember there. And then if you have your camera selected, another thing that trips a lot of people up, you can see right here, like in the right-hand corner of the viewport, that is actually like our first-person view through our camera. And you can see how large it's taking up our viewport. Like it's literally taking up a good chunk of it. And so if you want to make this smaller or actually get rid of it, you're going to come over here to where like you see this hamburger button, click on this, and I'm going to come down to advanced settings here. And then up here at the top, I'm just going to type in camera. And there's actually 2 things I want to show you guys in here, because this is some cool tricks too, that for especially for people that are coming from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine, this will help you out a lot. And so the first thing I want to show you guys is how to actually bring down the camera size here. So I'm going to scroll this over here a little bit. And you can see right now our camera preview size is set to 5. So you can actually set this to 0, and it's going to shrink it on your screen. So I know that was something that tripped up a lot of people as well. And then another thing that trips up a lot of people is the way that we navigate inside of Unreal Engine is kind of different than Cinema 4D. Like I know a lot of people are used to being able to like click on your object and actually orbit around it, and just having that being like your selected center point. And so a way to make Unreal Engine work like Cinema 4D inside the viewport is actually just clicking this on right here where it says orbit camera around selection. We're going to click that on, and then that should make you feel more at home whenever you're trying to navigate inside of Unreal. So those are the 2 settings there that's going to help us out. And as you can see right now, if I look over here on the top right-hand side, this is our outliner. And so this is where everything that we bring into Unreal Engine is going to live on this side here. So everything that's inside our viewport is going to live inside the outliner. And so I'm just going to clean this up a little bit real quick. So I'm actually going to right click, make a folder, and I'm just going to name this one C4d. And I'm going to drag all the files from Cinema 4D into that folder there, because it gets a little bit messy here. And actually, let me show you why. Because remember, we used the cloner from Cinema 4D to bring it to Unreal. And as you can see right here, it actually brought in every single piece of geometry as its own thing. And so that's another thing that takes some getting used to, like especially if you build like big city schemes or something that uses a lot of cloners. With the cloner there, it's going to bring all those in as separate pieces, because again, it's trying to transform and make logic out of what we have in Cinema into Unreal. And so that's why I like kind of putting it in its own folder, just so we can kind of clean this up. And then another thing I like to do is make another folder for like my FX stuff. And so I'm going to get rid of the atmospheric fog. We don't need it. Get rid of this floor, but I'm going to put the light inside of the FX panel here. I'm going to get rid of player start. That always comes in as default because this is a game engine at the end of the day, but we don't need it. We're just going to do a render from here. Then I'm just going to drag these three into here as well, like so. And then I'm going to come down here and click Save All, because it's very important to save. This software just came out, so save your files. That's all I'm going to say. Save your files there. And so from here, you see we have our scene from Cinema 4D in Unreal Engine. But if I look at it from the outside, a lot of people are like, where the heck are my polygons? Like, you can see it on the faces on the inside, but on the back side, it's invisible. And we didn't actually lose our polygons for purposes inside the game engine. It's trying to move as efficiency as possible. And so it's really going to only have like one-sided materials in there just to speed everything up in the viewport. But we could easily get around this by basically just coming over and selecting our material and telling them that our material is double-sided so we can see everything in there. So I'm going to come down here to the white material that I have there. Just come all the way down like so. I'm going to come down here under material properties. And then you should see two-sided. So it's as easy as just turning this on, click save. I'm going to exit it out. And there's all your polygons. So no reason to freak out. Everything's still there. You don't have to keep importing everything. You should be good to go there. So now I'm just going to fly into my scene here, which is pretty cool because you can't see my keyboard, but I'm actually controlling this like a video game. So I'm just using the WASD, and I'm using the mouse, which is really intuitive. So like all my Halo players out there, you used to be a Master Chief. You're actually working as if you're Master Chief inside the game engine here, which is really dope. But I'm going to show you guys, we have like this big gap in here, and I actually did this on purpose because I want to show you guys that we can actually go back to Cinema 4D and fix this. Like, we could manually go through and select like all these panels, move them up into the place that we need to, but the beauty of having a Datasmith plugin is we can actually make our changes inside of Cinema 4D, update it, and then have it update inside of Unreal Engine. And it's even intuitive to the point to where, like, say I have this right here, I delete it on accident for whatever reason, or I delete it on purpose, and for whatever reason, I'm like, I want that back, but maybe I went too deep into my scene, and you can't hit Control-Z. We can actually bring this back in from Cinema 4D as well by just importing it. So I'm actually going to, again, I'm just going to save this, and then I'm going to jump back into Cinema 4D. Let me click on my panel here and just move it up a little bit. So let me see. That's one thing that does trip me up, moving back and forth between Cinema and Unreal, because it is different in the viewport. But I'm just going to move this up. Then I'm going to come back over to my objects panel, and I'm just going to tighten them up because I did see some light leaking in there a little bit. There we go. And then I'm just going to hit Save, Control-S. And so I just did some simple setup here in Cinema 4D, some fixes. I moved my panel up a little bit. So now I'm going to go back to Unreal Engine, like so. Then I'm going to come down here into my NAB with up folder, and you should see a little cube here with like a circle around it, and this represents the Datasmith plugin. So this is actually our Cinema 4D file. And so what's cool about it is if you right-click, you can actually re-import with this same exact file, Or if you have like an iteration of it, like, a lot of times we work in iterations, like a version 2, you can actually re-import with the new files. And if it has the same files that you're working in Cinema 4D, we can import it with that. But I'm just gonna do re-import here, and it's gonna pop up with this window. I wanna bring everything over again. And remember, we deleted that panel there on the left-hand side. And so this is gonna be off by default. But this respawn deleted actors, this is gonna bring everything back over as it should be from Cinema 4D. It's almost like a hard reset for everything. So I'm just gonna click import here, give us a few moments to update. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to update here. Yeah, it looks like the panel's coming up here already. And there we go. So everything updated from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine. It was easy enough. We see our floor panel moved up and everything like so. And yeah, we have our scene there. So the next step I'm going to take from here, I'm actually going to bring in some geometry. I'm just going to block off this back here because I want my scene to be completely lit by Lumen, just using the Luminous channel that we brought over from Cinema 4D. So I'm just going to come up here, come down here to shapes. I'm just going to make a sphere. Let's see, if we double click on it, it should center it up. Hold down the Alt key so we could kind of orbit around it. Remember, we put that orbit around selection there. I'm just going to come up here to my tools in the top panel here, just extend this out because we're not going to look behind us at all. So I'm just going to extend this out to kind of block the sunlight from coming in. So I'm just going to make it really large like so and just kind of encapsulate this little corridor here. And cool, I don't see any light leaks or anything like that. So again, I'm just going to click save here. Make sure I save everything inside of my scene. So now let's get into some of the Lumen aspects here, and then I'll show you guys how we can set everything up for real-time rendering. And so you see that we have some glowing panels here. We have it reflecting off the floor a little bit. Actually, let's get some better reflections in here. I'm just gonna get a little bit crazy here for a minute. Just gonna pull up Quixel Bridge. Hopefully this opens up and allows me to be logged in, which it is. All right, perfect. So I'm gonna pull up, this is Quixel Bridge, and this is actually integrated inside of Unreal Engine now. So those that don't know what Quixel is, it's a photogrammetry library. It has about 16,000 assets. Like, they travel the world, taking photo scans of everything from textures to objects and foliage. Like, basically everything that you need is inside this library, and you can use it absolutely free. And so I have some files that I actually downloaded here. Let me click this off. I have my email up there. Please don't email me. All right, so I'm just gonna bring this in because it has some water petals in here, which will give us some cool reflections. And so I already have it downloaded, but I actually have the Nanite version downloaded because this gives us infinite polygons. Like I've showed in the past, like I've used objects with like 9 million polygons, brought it into Unreal Engine, it had no problem at all. So Nanite is the rawest that you get. Like, you don't have no normal maps, no displacement maps. Like, it's just all raw geometry, which gives us the best scene or the best scenario for a scene. So I'm gonna click on Nanite there. I thought I clicked on Nanite. Did I not click on Nanite? Let me come back. All right, so I'm gonna go back again. Let me click on local. Scroll down to the one with all the puddles in it. All right, click on quality, Nanite. There we go. So now I'm going to add it to my scene. And I know it doesn't really match the scene, but I just wanted to have something with a lot of cool reflectance and stuff in there. So I should have brought it down here into my content panel, like so. There you go. You can see it's preparing the shaders down there. Doesn't take too long. So now that we have our object from the Megascans library inside of Unreal Engine, it's as easy as just dragging and dropping into my scene. And I actually need to make it a lot smaller. You can see I totally engulfed my scene there. So I'm gonna go like 0.05, something like that. And that actually gives me a good reason to show you something cool in here, because that's kind of like an annoyance that we have inside of Unreal when you don't have it properly set up. Like, you saw that, like, whenever we're moving around, it's actually like with the lighting and stuff like that, it's trying to adjust for like how a person would be in the real world. So like, you know, when you're indoors, you go outside, your eyes have to adjust to the light. Like, being a game engine, it replicates that right off of the bat, which kind of could throw a lot of people off. And so whenever I put that Megascans asset in here, you saw like we're starting to get like some weird exposure and flickering and stuff happening. And that's just because that's the way the engine works just by default. And so a way to get around that, I'm actually going to add a post-process volume into my scene, just so we could kind of control that exposure and everything in there. So I'm going to come down here to visual effects, come down to post-process volume. I'm just going to center it out. And then inside of my search panel, I'm going to type in UNB. And that's going to bring up this attribute for infinite extent. And that means that everything inside the scene that I do with this post-process volume is going to be affected. Because if I scroll back here, actually let me double click on it, you can see we actually have like a square panel in here. And so this is something that they use in gaming as well. Like say like you want to change the color of a particular scene, like once you walk into this volume, it's going to change it, but I want to make it so that everything that I change in here is going to affect like the entire scene. So I'm just going to turn this on right here. And then I'm going to come down here under exposure, and I'm just going to turn my exposure composition down to 0. And you can see the scene already got really dark. And then I'm going to come down here. I have one more attribute to change out. So speed up and speed down. This is actually what I was talking about with the exposure. So like speed up, like if you walk outside the house, the exposure of your eyes getting adjusted to the light, you can actually control that speed there. But I'm just going to bring it to 0 because we don't want to do any of that at all. So I don't know why it's doing 0.02, but all right, I'll take it. And so now you see like our scene is completely dark in here. And I'm just going to control it with the lighting from inside of our material there. And so now what I'm going to do, because we can't see anything in here, I'm going to come over to my light. I'm going to come down here. Actually, I'm going to come down here to my materials. NAB, what up? Come down to materials. Double click on light. And remember when I said that inside of Cinema 4D, whenever I just clicked on that luminance, it's going to make a master material automatically for us inside of Unreal Engine. And what you can see, it automatically built out our attributes here. So we don't have to do any type of nodes or anything inside of here. It automatically built it out for us. Because if I look at C4d master, these are all the nodes for the material mode here. And Unreal Engine built this out automatically for us, so we don't have to go through and create this, because I know for me, nodes drive me crazy. So yeah, thank God that they automatically have that built for that. So I'm going to click back over here into my light material here. And it's as easy as just coming down here to emissive glow. Let's go crazy, type 25. You can see it's light in the entire scene there. I just wanted to go extreme just so you guys can see it. But now our scene is completely lit by lumen. Like there's no outside lights or anything. It's all being lit from the materials here. You can see the reflections here on the puddles and everything. And everything looks really cool, right? So I'm just going to come back over here. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit because I know we're running out of time. And so what I'm going to do now is, let's see. Do you guys want to see real-time rendering, or do you guys want to see character animation? We have a couple of minutes left, and so real-time? All right. So we'll jump into real-time. If I have enough time, I'll show you guys the character animation tools in Cinema, how to bring that over. But I'm going to really quickly set this up here. I'm going to come back down to my sequencer. And again, this scene was super basic. I just threw it together for you guys, just trying to show you guys some tips and tricks. But I'm going to come down here and click on my camera. And I'm just going to scroll this through. This is a basic camera move. I don't know why it's not centered up. So let me actually, I'm just going to move my camera here. Let me come back and see where it's at. So it might have got bumped somewhere in there. So let's move this back to the center right here. Wonder why I did that, but I'm just going to render this out real quick, and then we're going to move on to the character animation tools. So what I'm going to do from here, this is another thing that trips people out. Like whenever they come down here and they try to render it, they see that it's not going to render their scene, and that's because Unreal Engine has a nonlinear editor built inside of it. So if you use like Blackmagic Resolve or Adobe Premiere, we have that built inside of Unreal Engine. And so you make your animation clips and then you render out from there. But it's super simple. All you have to do is click on track, come down to camera cut track, click on this, and then from right here, I'm going to select camera, and I'm going to select my camera there. And then you see I came up with this animation clip. So the cool thing is, like say we had a couple of cameras in here that we want to render out in sequence, we can actually just take this, and clip it down and actually make animation clips. So if you want to hit it at like different camera angles and stuff like that, you can render that all in real time inside the sequence here. But I'm just going to render out this simple animation here. If you want to see more complex stuff, of course, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush, where I'll show you some more stuff more in depth, or you can take my Mocraft.com class there. So what I'm going to do now is actually hit Save All. And then I'm going to come over here to where we have this clipboard. I'm just going to click on this, and this is going to bring up our movie render queue, in which this is brand new for Unreal Engine. It's more inclined for artists, because if I click on this, we actually have more options here. Like before, like I said, this is a game engine, so it didn't have like a lot of artist-friendly stuff like multi-pass rendering, but just working with both Maxon and Epic over there and kind of letting them know what artists want. Now we have multi-pass rendering, we have Cryptomats, we have reflection passes, we have lighting passes. We even have a path tracer in here as well, which is really cool. That's something that they added recently. So path tracing is going to work more like your traditional GPU renderer, like Octane or Redshift, if you want to get a little bit better quality out of Unreal Engine. But I'm just going to render this out with the, the Lumen technology here. And so I'm going to, let's say, well, it has JPEG by default. I'll just do a JPEG sequence. I'm going to come down here to output. I'm just going to make a folder to render at. So let's say new folder. Just going to name this one render. Like so. Select this folder. I'm going to leave the image sequence as is, 1920 by 1080. I'm not going to mess with any more of the stuff here. I'm just going to click accept. And then once you have everything set there, I'm just going to click save one more time. Come down here, hit the render button, and it should only take a few moments to get lit up, but there's the rendering right there. You can see that it's rendering the frames all in real time there. And that was, I know it was only 120 frames, but it was literally running at 60 frames per second. So we have our full render there on our desktop now. So if I go over to my desktop, come over to render, you can see we have our image sequence all in full here. So if I double click on it, like so, you can see that we have our scene rendered out there inside of Cinema 4D. So I did notice once I opened this up, I didn't texture these up top, which is another tip that I want to show some people out there, especially this guy that was taking my course. This was something that was really tripping him up, so I do want to make sure I address this. And so let's say whenever I brought the cloner over from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine, and I just have like this simple material here, say that I want to retexture this with like a Megascans material, right? And if I come over here, actually let me go to Megascans and I'll add like a metal material. So I'm going to come back over here, Quicksub Bridge. I'm going to come down to my surfaces, and I'm going to pick this one right here for brush steel. I'm just going to click add to add this into my scene here. And there we go. So now we have the brush steel. And if I move up here, usually you could just click and drag it over it. But as you can see, before you had to do it one by one, which was really annoying, which was really throwing a lot of people off. Like a lot of people are hitting me up like, hey, why do I have to bring this over one by one instead of just being able to like rent or texture everything at once, because it is coming from the same cloner. And so in this update, we can actually select our object there from our cloner. If we hold down Shift and E on the keyboard, that's going to give us a shortcut to engulf everything. So it's supposed to. Let me click on it. Of course, it's not working now. All right, so hold down Shift and E. All right, well, it's supposed to select everything in there from the cloner. This keyboard isn't doing it for some reason. But let me actually, I'll just do it manually then. So I'll hold down the Shift key. But if you hit Shift and E, it's supposed to select everything that's within that cloner there. And then all you'd have to do is just click and drag it over, and it's supposed to just have everything go, which let me come down here and see. Actually, I'll do it this way instead. So I'm going to change my material in here. Okay, there we go. So now it changed everything that I have selected. For whatever reason on this keyboard, Shift and E isn't working, but if I hit Shift and E, it would select everything inside that cloner, and then once you drag and drop it, it's supposed to change everything there, but trust me, it works. I'll do it on YouTube, and I'll show you guys from my keyboard that works, but I have a little bit more. Actually, no, that's it. So I actually wanted to, hey, Matthias, can I pull you and Paul over for a moment?
Yeah, you can pull us in. Let me
right.
grab Paul so you can keep going. Let me look for him.
All right, cool.
Show him another tip. And
Yeah, no, I wanted to present these guys because with a special gift because they helped me out with this journey from Cinema 4D into Unreal Engine and everything. But while they're coming out, I'll actually show you some of the character tools real quick. And so let me pull in this robot that I actually brought from Unreal Engine. I'm going to click and drag this into my scene. So I actually got this robot from the marketplace here, and then I rigged it inside of Mixamo. And the reason that I used Mixamo was because the skeletal system in Mixamo works really well inside of Cinema 4D, especially for like the character animation tools. Like if I just select both of these, right click, come down to group object here, you can see that we have our actual geometry of our robot and our skeletal system inside of here. And with the new character animation tools, if I come over here to tag, come down here to rigging, character definition, I can actually extract the skeletal information to apply to any of the motion capture, whether it's with motion capture suite, or we actually have some built-in motion capture inside of Cinema 4D as well. So I'm going to open the manager here and hit extract skeleton, which it extracted all the points here. So you can see like for the hip, it actually brought over the joint for the hip. For the spline, it brought over all the joints for the spline, et cetera, et cetera. If I would have brought over like the Unreal Engine skeletal system, you would manually have to do it. And so that's why I went with the Mixamo method here. But real quick, let me show you guys the asset browser, show you guys some of the stuff that we have built inside of Cinema 4D for the animation tools, because I feel like a lot of people don't know about this or don't use it enough. So if I come over to my asset browser, come over here to motion capture, we have a ton of motion capture that's actually built in. No longer are we stuck to just using the same generic animations inside of Mixamo that everybody uses. We now have some variety here inside of Cinema 4D. So I'm just gonna come down. Let's say we just wanna have the robot cheering. I'm just gonna double click, then come back to my objects panel. And you can see we have a skeleton in here that is cheering, like so. And so now we can connect this to our robot. It's really, really simple. All we have to do is come down here to where you see like this little humanoid figure. I'm going to create a solver for it. And now I could just drag and drop the Cinema 4D mocap into there. And now we have a robot cheering. So it's as easy as that. And even if we wanted to just like switch it out, like say we change our mind, we don't want to have that robot cheering anymore. We can come back to our asset browser. Maybe let's come over and pick a different one. Let's say we want to have them waving for a taxi instead. So I'm going to bring that over, come back down to my solver, and then I'm going to click on this humanoid right here, this little humanoid figure where it says waving taxi. Click and drag that down here. And now we have our robot waving for a taxi instead. So it's really, really simple to do. And if we wanted to bring this into Unreal Engine, all you have to do is make sure you have your actual robot selected. You want to make sure you only have him selected. Come over to File, and then I'm just going to export out as a FBX. I'm just going to show you guys the settings that we want there. The main one that we really want to have in there is selection only. And then you want to have your animation track selected as well. If you have materials, make sure you baked your materials. But you're just going to hit OK on that, export it out, and then all you have to do is import it into Unreal Engine. And same thing I showed you guys before. Everything just comes in, drag and drop, and you're on your way. So, are you guys good? So
yeah, we can show up. Are we in trouble? Did we do something wrong?
No. So for the past couple of years, I mean, like I wanted to do this in front of everybody because these guys took a chance on me. Like I was just this crazy guy doing crazy stuff with Cinema 4D and Unreal Engine, something that crazy brilliant, whatever you want to call it. But you guys actually took a chance on me, especially Matthias. You asked me to do the open, remember, for C4d Live back then at NAB 2020. We didn't get to do it in person because of the pandemic, but with that project file, that was actually the first like commercial use case that I did, Cinema 4D to Unreal Engine.
Really? That was the first?
That was the very first
Wow.
one. Yeah, I know, fake it till you make it, right?
No. Nicely done, sir.
But with that, I actually entered it in an award, and we actually did take home first place. I wanted to give it to you guys in person. I've been holding on this for a couple of years here.
Wow. Wow.
But Here we go. So we took home the gold for the Knicks Award. I wanted to present this to you
Hi,
guys.
Internet. Look.
So if we
at that.
open it, there. You want to pull the top off? Yeah, pull the top off here.
Yeah.
So we actually have the Knicks Award here. We have a lady down here. It says Grand Winner 2020, Winbush Immersive Maxon.
Let me show it to the internet. The internet wants to see.
Yeah, the thing is like 50
Fancy.
pounds. And it smells like roses too. If you smell it, it actually smells like... Yeah, see, it held its smell for the past couple of years.
Awesome.
But yeah, now I wanted to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for taking the chance, and thank you for allowing me to show it to these guys. Thank you, man. But that's it. So yeah, if you guys want to know more tips and tricks, I mean, you guys have been hitting me up on YouTube, social medias, and everything. Make sure you just keep reaching out. I'll keep doing tutorials. Yeah, try to go easy on me. A lot of people out there, they've been hitting me up. If I can't get to you right away, please don't. It's no disrespect to you guys at all. I do reach out back out to everybody that I can. So I want to thank the community again for these opportunities, and there's a lot more to come. So again, make sure you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush. And until next time, stay fresh, keep creating, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you guys again. I'll see you soon.
All right, big round of applause. Dude, it's an honor always having you, brother. It really is, and I mean the community loves it. You can hear the applause. Internet, you can probably hear it through the mic, but yeah.
I know we did like 50 minutes. I could go like 8 hours.
I know.
Stuff.
This
So
is
I'm like
non-stop
trying to.
content.
I know it's like.
But we do have some questions. But guess what? Live takes priority. I'm sorry, Internet. I mean, we do love you, but they came all the way out here. So, any questions for Jonathan from the audience? If not, they'll go right to the Internet. Okay. There we go. Jessica, what you got?
Unreal output for like mobile ready games?
Yeah.
So the question is, can Unreal output to mobile-ready games?
Yes, 100%. So I can actually show you if I open up. I gotta hit cancel here. I'm just gonna exit these out real quick. And I'm gonna show you the template because there's actually a template for it. So let me come over here, open up Unreal Engine. Hopefully this only takes a few moments to open up. But this was something that I alluded to at the beginning, that once we open up the Unreal Project Browser, we do have like a whole plethora of different templates and stuff like that. And so you can see maybe like if you're making like a third-person mobile app right here where it says target platform, you would actually just click it for mobile, and then all the templates and everything that you need for a mobile, it will have everything there, and then you can export it from there for your tablet or your phone or wherever you're trying to put it to. Yeah, no worries.
One and done. Let's see here. Another question? Or David?
So you mentioned the limitations of bringing materials from C4d into Unreal. If you were to take materials and like find them in Unreal and bring them back to C4d, are there other limitations, or is it about the same?
Okay, so the question was, there's limitations as far as bringing in materials? Is there limitations if you tweaked it and try and, get them out?
Unreal to Cinema.
Unreal to Cinema, round tripping.
I wouldn't call it limitations, but there are some things you have to be aware of. But yeah, if you did want to bring your materials from Cinema or from Unreal into Cinema, it is possible, but you have to select it one by one. So like your albedo, you would export that out separately, your normal map, et cetera, et cetera. So you can do it, but it's just, it's manual work to do it. There's no one-to-one, like one-click solution.
Just doesn't automate.
Yeah.
Down at the end.
Yes, 100%.
That sounded, you can repeat the question. That one's
Yeah, no,
that one's
he
for
asked
you.
if we could get a shout out for the Metaverse. I'm working with Method Man of the Wu-Tang Clan. We've been building out
The
a
Wu-Tang
metaverse.
Clan ain't nothing.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We've been
you
building-
fill it in, you know what I mean. Go ahead.
No, we've been building a metaverse for the community using Unreal Engine. So yeah, big shout out to the community over there at the Metaverse, Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man. I know they just announced the tour with Wu-Tang and Nas. And so,
nice.
yeah, look for me
The
at a
Wu.
city near you because I'm going to be hitting some of those cities with Wu-Tang. So yeah,
The
big
Wu.
shout out to the Wu-Tang.
Yeah, to the Wu.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang. All right, let's see here. Question.
I'm sorry, what's that?
YouTube channel. How do they find you again on your YouTube?
I'm glad you asked. So if you come, I'll type it out for you. So YouTube, youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush. I can't even spell my name. Yeah, Jon. Oh, there we go. See, somebody was searching me out. So there you go. If you look for youtube.com/Jonathan Winbush, you can find me right there. And yeah, you can see that much like Maxon, I did receive the mega grant from Epic, so not get rid of me anytime soon. Now I got that Fortnite money. A lot more tutorials are to come. So
Nice. Got to get that Fortnite.
yeah.
All right, any other questions from the live? Look at you guys so active today. It just took them 2 days to warm up, and now they're like, no, we can ask questions. So they just like you.
I
So
appreciate
that's
it.
the thing. So first question from the internet. So now we're at you, internet. Don't worry, we didn't forget. They're wondering, will Pug Dash be on stream? On Steam, sorry.
Yeah, so Pug Dash is a project that me and EJ worked on with Epic, and just showing like the different tools between Cinema 4D. Like he built out a Pug. I presented it with you guys at one of the streams, and so everybody's been asking us to make an actual video game out of it.
It's collective effort.
I'll say this, I do have a donation jar on my YouTube channel. If I get enough donation,
Get a dev team together?
yeah, we'll get a dev team together and we'll make
So
that
just fund it.
reality.
He'll make
So-
it real. Just fund it. Yeah, that's right. Another question. So C4d files work both in Ue4 and Ue5.
Yes, 100%.
Nice and simple. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Is Winbush part of Maxon 1? Do they just offer you Winbush
we
as part?
gave a Winbush away with every Maxon 1?
Winbush is now included in Maxon 1.
I'll tell you what, we'll get him to do some tutorials and put them in and give them. We'll hire him up.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll make like a digital avatar, a digital
There you
Winbush
go.
avatar.
There
We can
we
include
go.
it as a
We gotta
download
make
or
a
something.
Yeah, there we
Exactly.
go.
There we
Winbush
go.
capsule. What up, slider? There we go. All right. So another one. What is Cryptomat? If you want to.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah, a quick question on Cryptomat explanation.
yeah, I did allude to that because that is something that the community was asking for, and so out of Unreal Engine, we can now export out Cryptomats. I'm not sure if you guys can see it on the stream there, but I do have a little thumbnail. So a Cryptomat is basically bringing mats out of, you could do it out of Cinema as well. Like you're just bringing a mat over so you could do your compositing inside of Unreal or inside of After Effects or Nuke or whatever you're using there. So basically exporting out a mask for a particular object. So say like in this scene right here, you have a bookcase, you want to put like maybe like a live person behind that bookcase, you're exporting out the mask to go for that, and you can actually, adjust it on an After Effects or Fusion or whatever. But that's Cryptomat in the breakdown, or if you're used to Redshift, Puzzle Mat.
Yeah,
Somewhere along those
he
lines.
has a great tutorial on it too. I checked it actually probably like a week and a half ago, so definitely check it out. It's a great tutorial. Another question is, can you render AO passes with a lumen lit scene?
It's very in the beginning stages, but it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not yet,
I mean,
but that's something.
you could do stuff like reflections. You could render out the lighting passes and stuff like that. There are more passes that are coming to Unreal, from what I hear from Epic. But yeah, it's not as fully fleshed out as like a
Traditional
Redshift or-
AO pass. Okay.
Yeah, they're getting there.
And then the last question is path tracing to Unreal takes more time to render than in usual render?
It's about on par with like your GPU rendering.
Okay.
So it's a GPU render. Well, I guess that's where the advantage of like a Redshift would come, right? Because you can add several GPUs to it to speed up the
crank
render
it up,
time.
right, okay.
With the path tracing inside of Unreal, I believe it's only up to 2 GPUs.
Okay.
So yeah, it depends on
You max
your
out.
rig and
You currently
yeah.
max out. And last is, he is hands down the best UE teacher. So thank you.
Appreciate
So
that.
Jonathan Winbush, everyone, he'll be here for another hour in the back. So if you have more questions, check him out there. And stay tuned. We'll be up next with Jacob Dalton. You're not going to miss this, especially if you're a Star Wars fan.
Quick,
So
can I take a
hang out.
selfie with everybody real quick?
Oh yeah, get
All right.
that selfie.